Hello, this is Rev Billy from Evidence of a Struggle, and you're watching Concerts That Made Us.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down, the greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Rev, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
It's great to have you now. I'm looking forward to diving into your music over the next bit. Now, Evidence of a Struggle recently released the track Keep It. It's a fascinating track. Can you take us a bit deeper into it?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I'd written this song. I mean, I think my process goes kind of like I'll come up with a rhythm or a melody and then start to write something. I'd had a dream, I think, that day and was just kind of thinking about how how the dream went and then thinking about like the components of like what was going on in our world at the time that I was writing the song, and there was like a lot of really gnarly shit going on. Can I say that?
Yeah?
Stuff. I talk like a sailor kind of. Is that going to be an issue? I hope not.
No, no.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of gnarly shit going on. I mean, there still is. There's, and so I think the melody line kind of gave way to this narrative of kind of that dream sequence situation, I think. And then it just kind of went from there and kind of all fell into place, and then gave it to my friend John, who's the animator, and we worked through that and kind of did the animations on it, and then that kind of gave way to other animations for the other songs. I think we've got a total of 7 videos or 7 animated videos that go on with the other songs that you can see on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the videos. Was it always the plan to make animations?
I don't know if it was the original plan to make animations. I think we ultimately um, just fell into that, and now we're trying to figure out, for the next record that's coming up, we're trying to figure out different avenues um, to kind of put a visual mark on the what I think the music is saying, to kind of try and fill those gaps for the people that don't um, hear the same way. Does that I feel like I sound really vague, but I feel like some people, not everyone listens to music the same way.
True.
Um, I mean, the last record was predominantly instrumental. And so for multiple interviews, people would say, "Have you thought about putting words to it?" And I like, yeah, I didn't really want to. So, and then I don't think a lot of maybe people lack the ability to think creatively without words.
Mhm. Yeah,
So then I think that's also kind of where the words for keep it kind of went into.
yeah, yeah. And it's more of there's lyrics with it, but it's spoken word as opposed to singing. Well, spoken word and yelling. Was were you ever tempted to actually sing it, or was it always the plan to have it spoken word?
It was a plan to have it struggle. I'm pretty pretty calculated on what I do with things. So yeah, I'm pretty pretty calculated. So I meant to do the spoken word situation. So not to throw a curveball, I just thought it fit the song really well. Do you?
Yeah, it does. It fits it perfectly.
Thank you.
The track, it's off your debut album, as you mentioned. How close do you think the finished version is to the original concept you had?
I think my process has changed since then because for a bunch of different reasons, I think I got more focused at writing. So since I originally wrote the music for that song and then added the words, I think the way that I approach writing has changed a little bit and become more efficient and more calculated. It sounds like it's not fun, but it's a blast. Like now it's just much more focused and intentional, I think, than it was before. I think in between a long time ago, I used to write for an artist that was on RCA and BMG, and I did studio work for a bunch of other people. And I think when that kind of would happen, I mean, I had to act differently within the moment for the position of a studio musician, I think. And then I think I was approaching the first record that way and those songs that way. And so I think that I couldn't really approach I had to approach the record completely different.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just got non sequiturs going. I'm sitting outside trying to do stuff and people are coming up and I wanted to say hi.
No problem. And you worked with sound engineer Sanford Parker on this record. Can you give us a bit of insight into the collaboration between you two?
Yeah, I kind of originally I own a hair salon too, which is kind of funny. My wife and I do, and I cut hair at the salon. So a friend had come in, and you can see the sign behind me, I think. Can you see that?
Yeah, just about.
I'm trying to put my sleeves down. It's balmy. It's probably 30 something degrees here. It's a little warm, but there's a lot of sun. Sanford, one of my friends was in a band called The Huntsman. I don't know if you've heard of them. And they were recording with Sanford, and they said, well, why don't you talk to Sanford about getting the next record out? And I was like, well, I don't think I'm that as big as you guys are, and the same, and it just kind of fell into place. I wound up getting in touch with them. Mark from The Huntsman gave me an introduction to Sanford, and then we talked and then started working on that record at Hypercube, which is Sanford's studio, and in my studio, which is a glue factory.
Yeah. Were there any challenges during production or memorable moments that you can maybe share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I think the whole that record and Keep It, I think that was all during the pandemic, so it was like real weird the whole time. And then I think the focus, it was just we kind of hit the ground running when we got in and started doing it, and I think Sanford was really instrumental in helping that just move along really efficiently. I thought that was really cool to have the ability to go in and just plug into a wall of Marshalls or easels and just crank it and just get a really good feel and sound in the studio. I thought that was really fun, and that really helped kind of move things along and give me a good feel for kind of refining the guitar parts on the first record.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think my thoughts about the first record and listeners might be different. I don't know really.
Right.
Or what do you think about the first record, I guess is what I would like to know.
I like it. I like it. It's I enjoy throwing it on and having it in the background, kind of, playing away, listening to it. It's it led me to a question actually. The way music is consumed nowadays, how important is putting together the track list for you? Because it's not like people will throw on a record and listen to it from start to finish. Does that
Yeah,
have
which is
any?
crazy, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
don't you kind of miss that? I feel like I miss that component
Oh yeah,
of
completely.
records and recording,
Completely.
I think. Yeah, I mean, I think the track listing is important to me. I think there's a stream of consciousness, when I'm writing all of this stuff. In general, I think that like I can't really get away from, and I think that stream of consciousness has to kind of work into how it plays out on the physical record for me. Like this next one, it's important to me to get it pressed on vinyl.
Mm,
That I think is important, and I think that affects and changes consumption. Um, so that makes it's a tangible thing, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So I think having that tangible thing, I think the track list is very important because if I put I think it's drama. Like music has got sensibilities of theater in it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I don't, and I think it's important to preserve that and maintain it somehow.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
And
It
so I
is.
think that track list is part of it. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be. It has to be. Something that struck me is you're currently working on your next record. For
Mhm.
you, how does it feel that, your mindset is all about the next record, but you have to still be answering questions about the previous record? It's like it's dragging you back to that time and space where I would imagine you want to focus on the future with the next record.
Yeah, I mean, my daily's really interesting. Like I tell people, I mean, I get up, around 5:30 a.m. and I'm fortunate I have a studio in our house and it's not like a little it's a good studio. So I'm fortunate that I get to wake up early, go downstairs and I guess compartmentalize like what I'm doing and go downstairs, record, work on stuff, and like kind of get anchored in now for recording a new record. Um, and then on a daily, I will run through the sets because I have to keep working out my voice for shows that are gonna that are coming up, and I have to keep. I don't want to sound like shit when I get up there, and so
Yeah.
I mean, so that's all very now and then slightly past, and then the interviews, keep me anchored in the reality of like what I've done and like being aware of that existence and what people might think of that music and how it relates to my new music.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like it. Is there any, I know it's more of a studio based thing, but is there ever any plans to do live shows with it or put it on the stage?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I love playing live. So yeah, I'm right now working on an acoustic set, which sounds really weird, which I really like because it doesn't seem like it would work with the level of saturation and distortion that's on some of the other stuff, but it kind of does. And then I get to play with a lot of stuff like tape echoes and stuff that you can run an acoustic through and then voice manipulation, which is kind of fun. Which Sanford kind of also helps with, you know, just keeping me aware of stuff that's going on with that, because I think of the respect of like other Chicago bands that like exist here that I think we are also acquaintances with, or have been influenced by, or may work with, you know. So I feel like I keep going on non sequiturs in this, and making it really difficult for you.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. You mentioned the local scene, other Chicago bands. Where do you think you fit into the local scene?
I don't, we were just talking about it like yesterday. I was talking with someone trying to figure out, or to get an honest reaction from people on what the music is. Because I don't think in terms of that, and it's like when I get interviewed, uh, I get asked that question a lot. And I mean, I don't have any idea what to call it, man. All I do is make it, and I kind
Yeah.
of want to keep making it, and I keep trying to have fun making it. It's just, it's I don't know if I fit in with the Chicago scene really. I mean, I guess that would be a better question for you and people that hear it and listen to it. Like, do I fit in with the Chicago scene? I don't know.
Hmm. I don't know. I'm in Ireland, so I'm the wrong person to decide whether you fit in the Chicago scene. I'd love to hear from some listeners. As you were speaking, I was actually thinking it's more of a question for your fans than you, I suppose, to see where you fit in the Chicago scene. But before we move on to some concert questions, I'd love to mention the salon you mentioned, Rev Billy's Chop Shop. You also
Yeah.
use it as a creative space to showcase artists. For any listeners not aware, can you give us a bit of a history with it?
Yeah, so this is our third salon location, and I mean, I can take you for a quick walkthrough. It's full of people working right now, but we're also an active gallery space, and we change um, artists bi-monthly. When we opened our first salon, we had a lot of friends that were artists, and we had a lot of open wall space, and we needed to have something on it. Um, and So we wanted to give them the option to hang their work in the space. Um, and then we change it out, like I said, every 2 months, so it keeps it fresh and keeps everything interesting in the salon. Um, yeah, it's kind of nuts. Do you want me to walk you through real quick and kind of
Yeah,
aim it?
it'd be
And
cool. Yeah, if you
let me see if I can do this. And then it might get really loud, but like this is going through the doors. So this is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a pretty good size.
yeah,
Can you hear me
actually.
still okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then this is the current artist, which is Ethan Hutchinson. And then we've
Nice.
got like all of this stuff, lots of windows. Um, that's just cool stuff. So that's the gallery space right now. This will be coming down in about a month, and then we'll go towards another artist. So
It's really cool.
yeah,
It's a beautiful space.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we worked really hard at it.
Yeah, yeah, it shows. It shows. Now, I mentioned concert questions. It's called
Uh-huh.
Concerts That Made Us after all. So I have to ask you some concert related questions. First
Okay.
off, as a concert goer, what concerts would you say have made you?
Oh man, I think they've all made me in different ways, because you're always like watching, the stuff that goes on. And I think as a musician, you kind of want to figure out like how to kind of play better than that, or as good as, or I do anyway. Like I look at the lights and everything, and I'm like, oh man, how could this is so rad. Or what could we do? Um, so I think there have been a lot that have been important to me.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a show you've attended that maybe listeners to your music would be surprised you were at?
Oh man, Dolly Parton.
Really?
Yeah,
Ah,
and she was awesome.
I'd
Dolly
say
Parton's
so.
awesome. I mean, a lot of friends playing bands, so I mean, when you go to see friends bands a lot, I like to, give shout outs to people too, because also it will embarrass them. Nels Klein is a dear friend, and like seeing him play, I don't know if people would think that I would be into that kind of stuff. Jeff Parker, another person that I am really into. Other Chicago people like Buddy Guy, the blues stuff. The CSO is amazing too. I really love the symphony. Trying to think of other things that I've been to see that have been like off off the beaten path. Big Sandy is another good one. Los Straitjackets. I think there are so many that I think people would kind of be like, "What? Really?" Um, the the Swans. I love them a lot. I think that was a recent one. Is that answering the question?
It is. It certainly is. It's a good list there, a good list. As a multi-instrumentalist as well, something I'm always intrigued about when I interview multi-instrumentalists. What drives someone to want to learn a load of instruments? Is it a boredom or a curiosity or what is it?
Probably all of those things, and the difficulty in finding reliable people to play with. So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm going to learn how to play it myself, and I'll do it better than you did.
I like that attitude.
And I do. And that sounds cocky, and I think I'm okay at some stuff, and like maybe a little, hopefully better than okay at other things, and probably tried at other things. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's like I think it's from my perspective, it's like the difficulty in finding people that I vibe well with to play the parts on, and so I figure out how to do it.
It's a good way to do it, Art. At least you don't have to rely on other people then. Is there an instrument that you would kind of be drawn more to, that you're most comfortable with?
Yeah, I mean, I think guitar is the one that I kind of lean on the most, to like kind of yeah. I mean, absolutely guitar. Um, yeah, I think so.
Is there one then
Probably the
that
one.
you're is there one then that you're like, oh, not this again. I'm kind of putting this one off.
Um, no, I don't think so. I mean,
Really?
I don't think there are any that I no, I don't think so, really. I mean, there are ones that I think are more difficult and just like pedal steel, and that one's just it's difficult to do right.
Yeah,
So I think that's one that I wouldn't put off. I think, yeah, no, I don't think there's anything that I would put off.
I like it. Good answer. Good answer. Now, when you think of the future, say 5 years time, how would you like to evolve? What would you look like then?
Oh man, I think I would like um, music to be a more comfortably sustainable thing for me to do. Which sounds really interesting, but I feel like um, it's costly um, to generate stuff and put it out. I think, and I think people would argue that and say, "Oh, I can do that anytime I want and wherever I want." I don't know that I agree with that. I think if you really want to put put stuff out that is going to get heard by a lot of people, you have to approach it. And there are certain rules that you have to play by. I think still, even in like this time of TikTok and social media and everything. Everybody is not going to be viral. Everybody's not
No.
gonna. I mean, now it's like the pond has gotten smaller and more fish have been put into that pond.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like I think you still have to play by the rules
Mm.
and some capacity, and then figure out how to exist outside of those rules. I mean, dude, that's kind of what happened with the Hells Angels. I mean, it sounds really weird, but like a lot of those guys became like lawyers to get other Hells Angels out of jail because they were getting in trouble. So you figure out how to work better within the constraints of that system.
True.
So I think
That.
in 5 years, I'm gonna hopefully be working better within the constraints of that system.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I really like that point you made though about it being costly and people arguing with it. Because sure, you can go to your bedroom with a laptop, record something and release it. But if you want to
Yeah,
actually put out something good and worthwhile, like you said, it is going to be costly. You need to put in the money, put in the effort to make it worth it.
yeah. I mean, and maybe that's a short-sighted view on things, or but I think you like there are things that people want. People like vinyl.
Mm,
They like to have that tangible thing in their
yeah.
hands. They like to see the words, which gets us back to the question about how much does a track list matter.
Mm,
And it does. I think all of those things play into the theater, or of music, or that entertainment aspect of it, that quality.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now, before we dive into the last couple of questions, future plans, the next record, what can you tell us about it at this stage? I know there's going to be some notable people appearing on it.
Yeah, I just opened my big fucking mouth on this one. I mean, people kept asking like if I wanted to put words on, or had I thought about putting words on. So this record's all about a lot of words and a lot of guitars, um, and a lot more of what's going on. I think today, and all the the good and bad and interesting things that are happening in our world. It's the whole world is in like flux and chaos, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, no
Oh,
thoughts?
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think I'm really curious why large parts of my artistic brothers and sisters and people aren't saying anything about what's going on. And for the huge people, why isn't anybody saying? Why are you hearing stuff? Am I missing it somehow?
Not as much as it should be. You know, for every
Yeah, right.
20 people I talk to, maybe one of them might, and it's a very big might, mention it or
Yeah.
talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like it's
So
totally
yeah,
glossed over.
yeah. This record's about that shit, and I hope people get it and start to like think about the things that are going on and about the people that exist around them, and stop being fucking selfish and kind of try to like look and listen and kind of think about other people
Yeah, yeah.
without sounding preachy, because I don't want to, because nobody likes that. I'm just illustrating. I'm an observer. The new record's all about observations about what's going on, and
Mm,
maybe things to ruminate upon.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
thoughts. Use your fucking heads. Stop concentrating on yourself. Maybe.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Kind of seems like society on a whole is on a downward spiral, that we're like the at the end of society because everyone is so self-involved.
So, yeah. I mean, I think it's happened before. I think if we read history and look at other texts and explore what's happened in other civilizations and societies, the same thing has happened similarly. We
Yeah.
just, for some reason, aren't paying attention to it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a bit sad.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah, yeah. When can we expect the next album then? I suppose you obviously don't have a release
We're
date or
mixing
anything.
it. Yeah. Well, we're mixing it right now. So as soon as it gets mixed, we're gonna move into mastering it. Hopefully by the fall or winter
Nice.
time, it'll be ready to
Nice.
go. And hopefully pressed. I think vinyl production has gotten a little bit speedier. So we should be able to get that pressed and on vinyl and out, hopefully by the holiday season.
Nice. Nice. Something to look forward to. So, right.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We'll dive into the last couple of questions. So these are a couple of fun
Okay.
random ones. I'm intrigued to see your
Okay.
answers. First
Uh-huh.
off, besides the chop shop and music, what are you currently obsessed with?
Oh, man, I think music, it's cliche. I mean, it sounds cliche, I think, but I'm just getting sounds. I'm getting kind of obsessed with like synth voicings and kind of working in, I think, other things within music, like this Ableton push system. I'm kind of obsessed with getting a live situation worked out, but like a really engaging live situation, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I'm kind of getting obsessed with putting stuff together in a on a stage sort of situation, sound and all that is live stuff. That's my obsession right now.
It's a
And
good
I mean,
obsession.
and horror movies, I guess, is the other thing. I mean, when we're not doing anything, we just watch a lot of weird shit.
I like it. I like
Movies,
it.
you know.
The next one, it's a bit odd. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Oh, man, 24 hours. I mean, that's a long time with any musician from history. Huh. Oh man, that's a really good one too. I like that question. Man, that's a really tough one too. I mean, I think that I would, yeah, I feel like there's no way to sound like not cliched on any of this shit. Um, I think I would kind of want to know, um, what was going on with like the older guys that were doing all the, like, I think Beethoven would kind of be crazy to get into a room with to figure out like, because I mean, I think there was a lot of or Vivaldi or like,
Hmm.
I think some of the classical people. I'm still trying to develop an answer for this one because there's so many choices and there are so many really good ones. I mean, as far as like 20th century ones, I mean, I'm not really a Frank Zappa fan.
Hmm.
And I think like hearing a lot of what he had to say was like he's kind of an asshole, it seemed like. But I think he did a lot of stuff, and it might be interesting to see what his take was on things. Um,
Hmm.
oh man, I think I would have to go with like Mozart.
I like it. I like it. A good one. Good one. The final
Because
question. Oh, go on.
yeah, now go ahead. I just think he was kind of nutty too, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Amadeus Mozart was kind of a little nutter
It'd be an
too, which
interesting
might make
24
that
hours.
24 hours fun.
Yeah. And the final question. So, what is your go-to album? An album you constantly go back to?
Oh man, um, there are a couple, but I feel Gavin Bryars, uh, the Requiem. Um, Gavin Bryars is an English composer. I think he worked with Bill Frisell. One of his friends died in Lockerbie. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Air
Yeah.
crash, and so he made a record for his friend that died in that. And that I think is my go-to. That would be my go-to record.
I like it. I like
Gavin
it. Good
Breyer's
choice.
Requiem, after the Requiem.
Perfect. Perfect. Listen, Rev, this was an absolute blast now. Thanks a million.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. I really enjoyed it.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made